Hey guys, welcome back again to another TikTok video. This channel does not support violence. We are all here to learn. So after watching the video, let me know what you think on the comment section. Don't forget to like, comment and share. And above all, subscribe to my channel for more videos. And I will see you again on my next one. God bless you. Bye.
I am a Black American and I absolutely love to travel to the continent of.
This is for the African Americans who think exactly like her, because I know it's not all of you. Whenever you decide to buy a ticket and visit another country, predominantly Africa or the Caribbean, can you please make sure to leave that stereotypical mindset that was inflicted upon you by these white people that oppressed you at the door before you enter? And if you can't do that, simply don't go. Girl went to Africa and someone got injured. Oh my God, someone got injured. Someone's phone got stolen. Oh my God, someone's phone got stolen. Sweetheart, you are from a country where a teenager can go to Walmart and buy a gun. America has the highest number of serial killers. You are from a country where when a white teenager feels depressed, he goes and shoots up a school. You are from a country where people who look exactly like you get murdered in broad daylight with all the evidence to show that they were actually murdered and never get any justice. So please explain to me how you can boldly acknowledge crime or incidents elsewhere, but you can't notice it in your own backyard. So crazy to me how the Western world have conditioned and convinced themselves and the people in their community to believe that crime exists everywhere else apart from the Western world. No, because let me do this again. Did people not die at Ariana Grande's concert in Manchester, England? Did Kim Kardashian not get robbed at gunpoint in Paris? And yet you still only acknowledge that crime exists in Africa? Some of these people are the same ones who will come on social media and make these stereotypical jokes about Africa, about the fact that Africa doesn't have any water. Meanwhile, Michigan don't have none neither. You lot will come on this app and stay shouting about how they live in mud huts and how they live in trees, but will never take a moment to look at the statistics of homelessness in LA and New York. People like you will come on this app and stay preaching and talking about how impoverished and poor and disadvantaged and how sad it is to be African and live in Africa because of how Africa is. Meanwhile, you're getting oppressed in your own country. Believe it or not, it's the same way when some of them go to the Caribbean. And you know, funny enough, same thing happens in Jamaica. Same thing. If you ever travel to Jamaica, just make friends with one of the staff at the hotel and ask them the worst guests who visit, and they will boldly tell you African Americans. And you wonder why some Caribbeans and Africans simply just don't like some of you. Because you lot come here and stay in other people's business and stay talking shit, knocking your cent against somebody else's dollar. You lot can really stay at the land of the free that ain't free. You really can stay there. Nobody's begging you to carry.
I had to watch my father and what my father had to endure to raise 9 children on $27.50 a week when he was working. Now, when I was a kid, I didn't know what the man was going through at all. I didn't know why he was always in a rage. I didn't know why he was impossible to live with. But I had not had to go through yet his working day. Mm-hmm. And he couldn't quit his job because he had the kids to feed. You know, he couldn't say, as our kids can, I don't like white people. He couldn't say anything. He lived his whole life in silence except in the church. You know? Mm-hmm. And he couldn't explain, how can you explain to a 5-year-old kid, my boss, called me and I quit. And the kid's belly's empty and you see it. And you gotta raise the kid. You got to raise the kid. And your manhood is being slowly destroyed hour by hour, day by day. Your woman's watching it. You're watching her watch it. And the love that you have for each other is being to be destroyed hour by hour and day by day. It's not her fault, it's not your fault, but there it goes because the pressures under which you live are inhuman. My father finally went mad. And I understood when I became a man how that could happen. It wasn't that he didn't love us, he loved us. It wasn't that he didn't love his wife, our mother. He loved her. But he couldn't take it. Day after day and hour after hour, being treated like on that job and in those streets and on those subways, and then coming home to his children who didn't understand him at all, who were moving further and further away from him because they were afraid of him, and also, which is even worse, afraid of the situation, the condition which he represented. He was, after all, for a kid, you begin to see when you're called, you look at your father because you think your father can rule the world. Every kid thinks that, you know, and your father cannot do anything about it. And then you begin to despise your father and you realize, oh, that's what it is. And it's not your father's fault. And it's not your fault. It's the fault of the power, people who hold the power, because they have deliberately trained your father to be a slave. And they deliberately calculated that if he is a slave, you will be a slave. You will also accept it. And it'll go on forever, and slavery will last 1,000 years, which slaveholders said and believed. And now the bill is in. And they want from me, or from you, sympathy and understanding. I understand it all too well. And I have all the sympathy in the world for that spiritual disaster. But I have no pity. The bill is in.